Hello everyone, welcome to Asura Psych, and today we're going to be discussing 3 quick tips that can help you to become a healthier INTJ, or at least put you on the right track to becoming a healthier and more mature INTJ. I would like to say that last week we did a 2-hour Q&A live stream, and there was a lot of interesting questions asked, and I did my best to answer them. So if you didn't get a chance to check that out and you'd like to, it is up on the channel. Let's get into the video. So the first tip I have for INTJs is to recognize that you aren't a thinking type, that you're an intuitive type. This is important, especially in my opinion, for INTJs who are still in the maturing process, because INTJs tend to mature, especially through their teenage years. They start to use their extroverted thinking function more and more. They start to balance themselves out with just their introverted intuition. But they tend to overcorrect in this developmental phase and use extroverted thinking in an overt and critical way. And this is actually important for any type with extroverted thinking in the first 2 function slots, in my opinion, to make sure that you're not being overtly critical with your extroverted thinking. Extroverted thinking at its root is a function that's focused on efficiency and productivity, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be critical in your presentation of what you think is effective. And as an INTJ, if you can recognize that your intuition should be your guiding process and extroverted thinking should be a support to it and not something that completely shapes your world, then you can really grow as an INTJ. Just remember overall that as an INTJ, thinking is your secondary function and you are intuitive at heart. You tend to be more relaxed, laid back, and perceptive to the world around you if you're in your natural and healthy state. Tip number 2 is to recognize your sensory habits and then try to deal with them in the best way that you can. So as an INTJ, you're going to probably fall into bad sensory habits such as overeating, dealing with some sort of escapism through sensory pleasure, maybe even alcohol once you've hit the legal age for drinking. And it's important to recognize when you're starting to abuse these things. Because remember, INTJs aren't the types that are likely going to get addicted to something. They're likely the types that are going to binge. And this is even a struggle for me. I struggled with binge eating for a long time. But then I started to notice when I was falling into extroverted sensing states and how I was using that as an escape from the stresses in my life. I lost 130 pounds once I started to recognize how I was using overeating or binge eating as a way of engaging with my stresses. And once you can reel it in, you can start to make positive changes in your life. And it's not going to be perfect. I'll admit, probably once a week, I still engage in overeating. I probably still binge eat about once a week. But now I don't do it 5 or 6 times a week. Now I'm not doing it every time I get stressed. Once you start to step back, look at yourself and realize what your stressors are and how you can deal with your stresses in a better way, then you can start to take that healthy step into becoming a more balanced person. So my final tip for INTJs to become more healthy is to really find your passion. And I know that sounds like a really overarching thing that you would want to tell to anyone who's struggling in life, but I think for introverted intuitive dominance, it's even more so the case. Because think of an extroverted sensing dominant type, an ESTP or an ESFP. These types tend to be more so willing to be kind of just engaged with life in the moment, living in the now, having fun interacting with the world, friends and families. They don't always need to be having this long-term plan, this long-term goal that's going to fulfill some sort of meaning in life. But with an INTJ, they tend to need this. They tend to need some long-term meaning in life. And if they haven't found something that they're passionate about, then they're not going to attach themselves to some long-term plan or goal. So if you're an INTJ and you're struggling with finding your passion, you're struggling with finding your long-term goal, then really sit down, maybe write out a couple things you're passionate about, and pick the one that sounds most interesting to you at this point. Because even if you're working on something that may not be your long-term forever plan, you're going to put yourself in a healthier mindset if you're working towards something long-term as an INTJ. Because if you're not working on something, you're going to fall into this apathetic state. You're not going to have that sense of meaning that INTJs really require to be a healthy individual. And I think it's extremely important for INTJs to find their meaning, find their passion, and then pursue it. All right, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed these 3 quick tips to help INTJs grow into healthier individuals. If you liked this video, let me know. If you'd like to see anything else or you have any other ideas for videos, let me know below. Also, remember that I do personality typing sessions. You can check out my website, asurapsych.com. This has been Asura at Asura Psych. Have a good one.